So yeah, the subject for today is mudras and mantras. And these are some ideas that set the stage as we work with the body, the somatic experience of the outer body, which is the Annamaya kosha that's affected by, nutrition and fitness, basically, that we're kind of familiar with. And then with the yoga tradition, we want to move inward to the other layers within us, the other layers of mind, prana, which is like more and more subtle kind of body-mind interface, and the inner core being with our soulful qualities and what makes us kind of who we are. Just, of course, we're going to be talking a little bit about rituals. So the idea that we already have rituals, but most of these ones I've just made some little pictures here from myself, personal rituals, connecting daily with the heart. So really, if the heart is the core of the human being, this is where the idea that where we go for respite rather than to our externals, to, endlessly scrolling, looking at news, nibbling, eating things, overeating, or, taking substances, etc. That there's rituals that can help us. So two aspects, mudras and mantras are two aspects of the yogic practice that lead inwards, kind of setting the stage. So like I mentioned, the body's koshas, layers, are like rings on a tree, the outer body to the inner core. So our minds have innate curiosity to know our inner self and its embodiment, but we often get distracted along the way with our aches and pains, our hungers, our desires, our aversions. I don't like this, I don't like that. So in yoga tradition, we release muscular tension through asana. So the postures, downward dog, chaturanga, surya namaskar, but tension can also be released through mindful walking, hiking, dancing, weightlifting, whatever works for the individual. Once the body is relaxed and receptive, then the mind is ready to engage in the body breath, more subtle work. Another layer of inward, kind of that liminal layer between our inner being and our outer world, which the breath really deeply symbolizes. And this is called the pranamaya kosha. And I think I'll do that one next week. We'll go more into pranic practices, which are our breath awareness, but we're going to touch on that a little bit today, a little bit later. So we always start when we're building up a physical pose, like let's say the tree, by planting our foot and bearing weight and putting roots down in our feet, and then building up the pose just in our body as we would the foundation to the first, second, third floors of the house. So if we're doing a seated yoga, we want to be seated steadily and comfortably. So just recommend, if you have for myself, I have a folded blanket to put on my hard chair, just to really anchor the sit bones. And if your feet, you can also put it under your feet, just to remember that it's supposed to be a comforting and easeful practice. Okay, so back to the mudras. The mudras are the tactile expressions and symbol of our journey inwards. And you'll see on the next slide, I should have put on this one, it's actually the picture that we have for this little series. It shows the hand. They're hand postures used in breath practice, pranayama, and meditation. So that particular mudra is a chin mudra, where the index finger, your individuality, bows inwards to the thumb, which represents the universal, the Brahman, the supreme, whatever word that you're comfortable using, and leaving behind the other three fingers, which may be represented by greed, desire, and anger. So it can also be thought of as a seal to kind of seal the prana within your body as you practice and invite it back to kind of into a loop, back into yourself, to not like lose personal energy. The hands are symbolic in themselves. using them as a ritual gesture, because we innately use them to cling. And you think of a young monkey and how they cling with their hands to the mother's fur. But as we develop mindfulness, this is the big thrust of Buddhism. We need to be discerning what we cling to, or it's no longer going to serve us and it's going to cause suffering. We're trying to cultivate an attitude, a stance of viparigraha, meaning non-clinging. The idea that we allow things to change and shift, and we're in touch with reality and not just how we think things should be, and that this is not right, and that, you know, ways to just have a stance in the world where we're flexible like the willow tree, rather than stiff like, you can kind of think of an older dry tree that the wind blows and it cracks. We have to have a stance of being flexible and flowing. Goes to the chin mudra, would give a little bit of close-up. So the idea that we do physical expressions, they can also condition the mind and set the stage for us to practice. So you'll notice when we're going to do a little bit physical practice, we can also start with Anjali Mudra. So prayer position, hands together to the heart. Starting a pranayama or meditation practice, the chin mudra, index to thumb, and then placed palms down on your upper thighs. The idea that what wires together fires together, the ritual, the gesture, the intention, it helps us set the scene for the practice. And this helps to access the inner space really in trying times. Since we've practiced it, it becomes innate and just easier to get there. So personal rituals, very helpful in trying times, formalized in yoga, or very informal, like walking the dog, or you know, calling a friend, or any kind of personal ritual you have that gives you support and soothing in times like this. It's never too late to cultivate them, and it serves you and gives you a good support and soothing. If a mudra is a physical expression, then a mantra is a verbal expression. So a mantra JAPA is repetition of a statement or an affirmation, you know, over and over again. People do it with beads on a mala, rudraksha beads on a mala, or some kind of rosary. It can be aloud, chanted aloud, spoken, or silent. It can be repetition of a personal affirmation. You know, my heart is courageous. For affirmations, just use the present tense. You can create your own, whatever that you need in the moment, something that's true and something that's personal and meaning, and you need not share it with anybody or sing it out loud. You can repeat it in your mind. That's what mantra is, because manas, the Sanskrit root is from the word manas, being mind protector or mind vehicle, and japa meaning repetition. So if we're doing repetition, we're conditioning the mind, we're creating a neural pathway through this ritual use of words. Just like we create physical practice, it creates a brain map. But in this time, instead of creating music, we're using repetition to condition the mind to peace, contentment, and joy. And you may find, as I do, that if you have a mantra or an affirmation, it can displace distracting and disturbing thoughts when needed. It's a route back to the peace, because it's been cultivated in a personal, peaceful space. And then we can't always control that. So there's other times that we're not in a 100% control, or we're flustered. But it kind of throws a little tether to us to return back to that peaceful space by conscious action and not much effort, but just the idea that the repetition creates that little groove, and it can be like a little lifeline in difficult times. A very familiar mantra is Om, and here's an artistic representation of the Sanskrit character for Om. People chant Om in yoga, so we can spell it O-M, but there's more to it than that. It's a 4-part cycle, A-U-M space, kind of put that in little quotation marks, representing a primordial sound, representing the idea that everything is a vibration. A 4-part cycle is seen in nature's seasons, the human life cycle, relationships, a musical note, or a breath. Keep going. The whole idea, think of you know, a cycle on a heart monitor. Use your imagination, it can go on and on. So generally, when we strum a musical note, there's a contact. Let's say the bell rings, ding. It has a contact, then it has a sustain, a maintenance, a dissolution, and then silence. So all this happens very quickly. So it's much easier to see it in nature's season, spring, where there's a creative season. Summer and maintenance, fall, dissolution, and winter is more, represents the void, let's put it that way, especially in Montreal. The human life cycle, childhood, adulthood is a sustain, older age is dissolution, and death is the void. So it's a way of just kind of categorizing and seeing reality, that everything is Om. And we physicalize this reality, this truth by chanting. It's soothing to the mind and the body. And on a physical level, when we chant, it vibrates our upper palate. So it's not my specialty, but I in my personal experience, I find it's that if that upper palate is vibrating, whether we're singing or humming, like happy people hum, it's kind of a cliche, but it vibrates the upper palate and stimulates the underside of the brain that's associated with mood, in my understanding. But the idea that it's a 4-part sound, and you can start with just by physicalizing as we go through the letters, that you're going from the outer, like, part of the vocal apparatus with the ah, and then ooh is a little bit deeper in, so we're going in, and then is up as we vibrate the upper palate as the breath leaves, and then there's a silence, and then we repeat. But just sink into your own little space, take a gentle breath and say ah. No, it doesn't have to be in a sing-songy voice, but just to relax the back of the throat. In Hatha Yoga, we use all the muscles. So in the chanting, we use the throat muscles and the epiglottis, everything back there. Ah. Ooh. A little bit different, more in the back. You can even place your tongue towards the upper palate and even nasalize the end almost into a NG, sounding like ng, where you're sending, you're vibrating that upper palate and feeling the vibration. And then as it stops, you notice the difference between the vibratory experience and the silence, and see if your mind likes that or not. Sometimes it's hard to stop, but so that's the basic of a 4-part Om. Another mantra that we're going to try tonight is the So Hum, which literally translates as, I am that, I am he or she or that, whatever, again, whatever vocabulary you use for the heart's potential for love, compassion, and divinity. and we physicalize it with the breath. And it really, like I said, displaces the thoughts that sometimes just fly around in there, kind of seemingly out of control. If they do fly around you, you just let them and you repeat the mantra and watch them, and eventually they tend to just settle of their own accord as you get into the rhythm of it. So it takes us out of our small self and helps us to just to reconnect with our body and our own heart. So we physicalize that as we exhale the breath, saying the syllable so or sa. I mean, we're not saying it, but sa or so. I'll show you in a minute. And then as you inhale is the syllable hum. So if you listen to just your aspiration as you exhale, it's kind of like a sigh. Kind of sounds like sa. And then as you inhale and tend to close your mouth, it kind of becomes a hum. So sa. And so you coordinate it with your breath. Sa. So we don't generally, I'm saying it out loud just to explain it, but we generally, you can say it very softly to yourself if this is a sound that your body makes. With a little bit of imagination, it certainly is. And a way to hear your own breath as you inhale and exhale. And then you can just drop the idea of using your mouth and just repeat it internally as you pulled inwards and kind of soften your gaze, and as your diaphragm vibrates up and down with the breath. But let's just start with some physical practice before our time's up. Feel free to sit cross-legged on your own cushion, your yoga mat with a comfortable blanket. The key idea is that you're easeful and comfortable in your body. And if you do need to cross or uncross your legs, feel free to do so, just to keep yourself comfortable and steady. Place your hands to your heart in Anjali Mudra. Going to chant 3 ohms followed by Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Feel free to chant along, whether out loud or in your head. Om. Om. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. May there be peace within, peace without, and peace in the forces that act upon us. Let's start by just taking a good breath in, pulling up to full height. Imagine a lovely golden cord rising from your lower back, tipping your tailbone down into the cushion, and from the same spot in your spine, just above that, from your sacrum right to the crown of your head, nice and tall. Soften your gaze as you breathe in. Feel the ribs expand, feel the spaces between the vertebrae expand. Use your musculature to pull yourself to your full majestic height. And when you exhale, don't lose the posture and go back to computer pose or so. Inhale, exhale, allow the abdomen to soften, to move the muscles of the breathing pattern, but keep the muscles of the body engaged and supportive. Deep breath in, long, slow breath out. And use your nose whenever possible, but anything's good. Deep breath in. You can sigh, you can use ujjayi breath, just tense the back of your throat a little bit like you're fogging a mirror. And just hear the sound coming out of you as your abdomen engages, pushing out all the air. Deep breath in, long, slow breath out. Add some arms, inhale up. Exhale, fold. If you're comfortable to place your abdomen on your knees, if not, you can support yourself on your forearms. Just so you can come down, let the head hang if that's comfortable for you. Inhale up. Exhale, lower as if into chaturanga, pulling your shoulders back, opening the chest wall. Inhale, arch back, open the chest. Exhale, round the spine, empty out the air. Inhale, tall again, exhale, fold. Inhale, rise up, draw your hands right up, fingers to the sun. Exhale, come back to center. Come back to the heart as the air comes out. And just rest in this pose for a second or two. Reset your posture if you feel you're off balance or your cushion has slipped, just to make sure that your body really feels grounded with your feet on the floor, very comfortable. And you can even rock side to side a little bit and feel the minor amounts of muscle engagement when we're off center, and then find that sweet spot just in the center where you just with minimal effort, you can be just really tall, majestic right through that spine. And we'll try it again. Hands, Anjali Mudra. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. Draw the chin in. Draw the crown out. Extend the vertebra. Exhale, fold. Chest down, head down. Bow the head. Inhale, up. Imagine that you're doing a slowly lowering yourself to the floor as you just draw the arms in, opening the chest wall. Inhale up, chin up, shoulders back, arch. Exhale, fold forward, empty out the abdomen. Inhale, back to full height. Exhale, fold. Inhale, extend the spine right through the crown. Exhale, fold a little bit deeper. Feel the support of your torso on your legs. Allow the head to release with gravity. Allow the neck to hang a little bit. And on your next inhale, thumbs up, fingers to the sky, full height. Exhale, release. Find the midline of your body, press the palms together. Find that center line, right down to the heart. And release. And shift, make yourself comfortable. Start with a small twisting sage, so cross left over right. Just like you're crossing your legs, but keeping the sit bones attached to the cushion. And then with the alternate arm, a gentle twist. So first, inhaling, zipping right up, tall, tall spine. Exhale as the air leaves. Engage in the twist. Look over the back shoulder. Hold it at the maximum point that you're comfortable. It should talk to you, but not scream at you. It should be just engaging with you, releasing, and then release. Come back to center. Recross the other direction. Opposite arm. Breathe in tall. Exhale. Twist. Look over the back shoulder. You can use the back of the chair if you have one to give a little bit more torque, but gently. Just go by millimeters. Inhale back to center. Uncross and back to the neutral default position. Go a little bit deeper. Let's try Agni Stambhasana. So crossing one leg just above the medial malleolus here, the big kind of ankle bone bump things. Let's cross that over and allow the hips to open. Not a position we keep that often, but the goal being to try and get the shin as horizontal as possible by dipping the knee. And if you might have flexible hips, might be tight. We sit a lot in the chair at a right angle. So to externally rotate the leg, it's a nice treat for the hip joint. If you're so inclined to go a little bit deeper, you can draw it up towards in a little bit of a bicep curl, but keep the spine tall. Like don't bring your chest to your leg, keep tall, bring the leg towards the chest, but very gently, very gently. And at any time, if you find this is plenty and it's talking to you, pause there. You're supposed to please just dance within your own range of motion. And uncross, other side, draw one leg up, cross it over. Allow the leg to externally rotate. You can help it a little bit. Just get a good stretch in there. Just give it a moment or two. It allows the muscle spindles to just not contract, not think that they have to contract protectively to protect the muscle, because the groins are very, very delicate part of the body. So just allow that external rotation. A couple of sweet breaths. Tells the brain that it's safe. We're not gonna do any contortionism today. Just to wake up the body, put our conscious effort, be a little bit mindful, and see where it goes. If you can draw it up, aim for horizontal with the shin. If you can hug it right to your chest. Just hold it, find the sweet spot for yourself where it talks to you like, oh, okay, maybe at 20%. It gives a bit of a little stretch, 20%. If it starts being too much, back off. Just to get a nice opening and then release it. Release the breath, release the leg. Go back to the first side. So I'm back to left leg, crossing over. And this time we're going to combine both. So we have the leg in a nice open Agni Stambhasana position. Inhale tall, cross over, alternate hand, and you can leverage yourself around, grip the back of the chair, rest your arm, use it as a gentle guidance. As you breathe in and out, turn your head over the back shoulder. Allow that hip to open, root the sit bones down, and get freedom in the spine and in the neck. Hold for a few breaths. And on your next exhale, inhale. Come back to center, unwind, unwind, uncross, recenter yourself. Other side. Switch it up. Cross it over. Keep the sit bones firm. Zip up to tall height. Cross. And engage in the twist. As you hold it, allow each inhale to remind you to pull up on the marionette string that pulls your spine tall. And at each exhale, if you can go a little millimeter more towards the twist, towards the back. And inhale, release, undo, unwind, like literally unwind. And release your arms and legs. We are going to start with Gomukhasana. So we'll do the arms first. It's very similar to a shoulder stretch where you're placing one arm up, patting yourself on the back, and even touching the fingers behind. So the idea is to point the elbow right at the ceiling. And if you can touch your fingers behind, great. If there's something you need to work on, you can always take a little belt or a karate belt or a yoga strap and hold and provide a little bit of resistance there to do some isometric work. But for today, just to feel the position, get us out of our regular kind of positions where we're either, sitting or typing, keyboard or driving, and mix it up, something fresh for the brain. Other side, release, draw the other one up, pat yourself on the back, engage the other arm, see if the fingertips can touch. You can try to work the top one, the fingertips down, and work the other ones back if you can touch, or even grab your own hand. This is wonderful. Just to feel a good stretch in the shoulders. And unwind, unwind, unwind. Followed up with a good couple of shrugs. Inhale, really can just squeeze those traps up. Big trapezius muscles. Exhale, release. I even follow up with a little bit of massage of the trapezius. Very, very common place where we store tension. The upper body, neck, shoulder area. So just give yourself a little bit of self-care. And then we're going to take what we just did with the arms and we're going to combine it with the full pose. So it's a little bit of a twister, this one. So as we were in the very beginning, we just did a leg cross. So left over right, just like we won't do the full one like we do on the floor. There's ways to tuck the feet, but we just stay on the chair. Left over right, and then alternate side is right over left. And hold and breathe. Create a new pattern in your posture. It's nice to hold it. Allows everything to just settle and calm down and be just held there. Just the gentle contraction of the muscles, just hug to the bone. It's very comforting for the nervous system. And the slow breathing really allows the parasympathetic nervous system to kick in. I really extend that exhale if you can notice your breath, because now that we're being really still. So go back to the in deep and out long. See if you can at least match your exhale with your inhale of the same length or even longer. So just be aware of your breath. Deep breath in, exhale, let it out nice and slow, and unwind, uncross, and go for the other side. So now right over left legs, then left over right arms. Feel back there for the fingers, work it a little bit. Feel steady on your seat. The bottom foot is well planted, so you're not swaying or anything, just very well planted. Body feels secure even though it's bouncing on one foot. The chair is helping us, and guess what? We can go back to the breath. In deep and then out. Some people even count. I mean, you can count in for 4, out for 4. It's a technique that people use, but we'll just generally say, nice smooth breath in and out. Sukha Purvaka, easy full breath. And on your next exhale, release it. Release the muscular tension, release the pose, come back to neutral. And I wanted to show you the idea of the child pose, probably very familiar if you've done yoga, on a mat in a studio or in a gym. But I think there's a good idea to have a seated child, because it really helps to interiorize the yoga experience. So we touched on it a little bit in the seated Surya Namaskar that we did, the sun salutation. So I'll ask you to just set yourself up again, really comfortably. If you're uncomfortable leaning on your legs, you can prop yourself or take a cushion, place it on your thighs. I'm just going to place my hands here, or to go right down and allow the head to bow, and to just hold that for a couple of breaths. You shouldn't be uncomfortable. If find the blood is rushing to your head, by all means, back off, come up a little bit onto your elbows. So just coming down, releasing the neck, and pausing there. Kind of like a turtle, just kind of pulling back into the shell. Makes you very aware of your breathing, because your abdomen is right against your thighs, pretty close there. So very nice way to connect with your breath and your breathing pattern. Just observe it. Observe its rise and fall. It's a very natural pattern. Just stay with it. And on your next inhale, you can slowly even just use your hands and press yourself up so there's no strain. Press yourself back up to seated chair position, and feel the benefits of that reversal. When we have a slight inversion like that, more blood is sent to the brain. It's a different breathing pattern. we're just taken out of our regular day-to-day habitual patterns, and it's good for us. Feel the benefits, and then coming back to center now, the blood stabilizes. Another version of that, just take my glasses off, is a seated one that you can do anywhere, even if you're at your study desk, to keep your elbows in close. And hopefully if your hands are clean, if not, you can just follow along, but to take your fingers and find your eyebrows and the little notch, kind of an indentation above your eyebrows on your forehead before you meet the hairline. You'll find a little sweet spot there, a little notch. Pulling back in on ourselves, or like a turtle withdrawing into the shell. And it's less constricting on the abdomen than the other version, a little bit less intense. It's a way of also connecting with the breath, because you can hear your own breath, just like when you hold a seashell up to your ear. You can hear that sound. Just be alone with your own breath. Allow yourself to be centered. To hold the pose. Just shrug the shoulders a little bit and release if you find you're tightening up. Tuck the elbows in so that there's no stress on the shoulders, minimal stress. So you can prop your head a little bit with your elbows against your upper torso. It's okay to have a little oasis, a little retreat away from the busy world. It's more than okay. It's necessary for self-care to just focus back in on ourselves, make ourselves comfortable, accommodate our needs. When you're ready, just release your hands, and you can place them in Chin Mudra on your thighs. And now that we've been listening to the sound of the breath, tuning in with those last two poses, let's add the mantra, So Hum. So as you exhale the syllable So or Sa, and inhale, Hum. Just coordinate it with your breath, with your own breathing pattern. You don't have to follow my rhythm or anybody else's rhythm. Just take the mantra as your dancing partner. To just dance together with the awareness of the breath being the bridge to the inner country. To the inner self, where our soulful qualities lie. Joy and peace and contentment. Forgiveness, appreciation, gratitude. They're all there. And if your mind tends to wander, as minds tend to do, we'll offer the mind the tether of the mantra. Inhale, hum. Exhale, sa. Inhale, hum. Exhale, so, sa. Let it out. And if you haven't already, you can close your eyes. And just keep the spotlight of awareness in the region of your diaphragm, your center, the core of your body. The breath rises and falls of its own accord, naturally, effortlessly, easefully. And just like a skipping rope game, we jump in with the mantra. Inhale, hum. Exhale, so. Gently open your eyes. And rub your hands together just to generate a little bit of heat. Come back to the external world of the senses. Place it on your heart so you feel and seal in the focus and attention that you've given yourself today. Focus on your own heart, your own self-care. Your own cultivation of a peaceful inner state, no matter what's going on. There's always like a home base to come back to. Place your hands in Anjali Mudra and bow to your own heart. Om. Om. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. It's 7 o'clock sharp for those who might have deadlines elsewhere. Thank you so much. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining us.